What's happening, guys? It's VenomousFatman again. I'm here on the BITT, the boys on the tube. I'm sitting down with DSP. We were talking about Street Fighter before, so we're going to kind of expand upon it a little bit more and get into a different topic that Phil's known for pretty much talking about, and that's online play. So pretty much, a lot of people say all they want about you, Phil, when it comes to your opinions and stuff on online play, particularly the Street Fighter. What is it about online play, for people who haven't already heard and stuff, that really bugs you about it? About whether it's playing Street Fighter or Call of Duty or whatever game. What is it about online play that really bugs you?
Right. Well, that's a great question. In particular with Street Fighter, let's start with there. Online play is pretty much a joke, and I hate to say that because, I am friends with a lot of people in the Capcom community, people who work on game development, but to play a game like Street Fighter, the whole idea of a competitive fighting game is that you need to have excellent hand-eye coordination, you need to have excellent response time, you need to be able to react, to do crazy reversal moves on the spur of the moment. And online play basically eliminates your ability to do that by adding latency, by adding ping, by adding input delay. A lot of the things that change when you're playing online is, number one, what you're actually inputting on your joystick or your gamepad doesn't necessarily equate to what actually happens in the game. The game is like rolling the dice a lot of the time. It's saying, okay, well, Phil did a Dragon Punch move, but the guy on the other end threw a fireball, but then there was ping and latency, so we're going to take the odds here, and we're going to say that Phil threw a fireball too. And then it would be like, you're playing your game, and why isn't my move coming out? Why can't I block when I'm doing something online? These are the kinds of things that happen. And I know I've talked about Street Fighter 4's netcode for a significant amount of time in the past, but the bottom line is this. When Street Fighter 4 and Super Street Fighter 4 subsequently, when they were programmed, they were made to work on Japan's internet. And Japan, in comparison, obviously, with the United States, with Europe, is a significantly small country with people who live very close to each other. The internet is actually government sanctioned. It's extremely fast. They've actually been on 4G satellite internet for years. They've had 4G for quite a long time. Right now, the United States is just getting 4G on all their phones. So just use that as a comparison. So they're light years ahead of us technology-wise with their internet speed. And I've had friends, including Arturo Sanchez, who've gone to Japan. They said, Phil, we were playing Street Fighter 4 in Japan online. It's amazing. There's little to no lag. It's like you're sitting right next to the guy playing him. And we can kind of understand why they put this out as a product. Now in the U.S., it's a lot worse. Our internet is significantly slower than Japan. We have a lot of problems, especially with competing ISPs who have different kinds of internet connections, who have different problems with latency between each other. And so what you're going to find online is there's a couple common things that happen. Number one, whatever you do, it's delayed. So you might do a special move, and the move doesn't come out. When you do it, it comes out a little bit later. Number two, you're going to have input drops. What input drops means is you may press a button, and the game just doesn't recognize that you ever pressed the button and nothing happens. So those two things can significantly affect your online play. Now, comparing that, a game like Street Fighter 4 to, let's say, Call of Duty Black Ops. I don't know if anyone has watched, my videos of Black Ops, but it's pretty funny, some of these matches. If you actually watch the final kill cam on some of these competitive matches, you'll actually see that the guy wasn't even aiming properly at the person that they shot, yet the person died and somehow it ended the match. And the reason that happened is with FPS games, since it's not a one-on-one fight, they actually are able to roll the dice, but when they roll the dice, it's not necessarily as game-breaking. So if you're anywhere generally near the vicinity of shooting someone, the game's probably going to give you the benefit of the doubt and kill that guy. Now, if you have a slower connection, what you might find is that you can't kill anyone. And this has actually happened to me in several matches of Black Ops. I'm in there, I'm aiming straight at the person, I get the drop on them, I shoot them 5 times, and I'm instantly dead, and they're perfectly fine. I say, well, how can this happen? But then when you watch the kill cam, on his side of the fence, he actually shot me first. And that's because of the problems with lag and latency. So for FPS games, since it's such a larger team-based kind of a deal, people they don't necessarily see or experience the lag the same way that you would in a one-on-one competitive match of Street Fighter. So right now, my personal opinion is I don't feel that fighting games online can be considered as a real competitive environment because there's just too many factors going on. If we had internet like Japan does, I might be on a total other side of the fence with that opinion, but until we get that kind of a great connection and we can have that kind of dedicated internet lines that, are going to be giving us great latency, like the person sitting right next to us playing, I put no merit whatsoever in playing online. I've had too many experiences where people are just, especially with Street Fighter 4 with the input, the ease of inputs that they put in there, the input shortcuts, people just mashing out stuff and beating people because it's so laggy they can't react to it. It's just, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, pretty much. I've experienced plenty of the things that you talked about, including like the input lag and things like that. I remember there was a video back then in the day, I want to say like a good couple of months ago, I believe when you were still, it was Super Street Fighter 4, where you were playing again, you got into some random matchup or something against a guy named like Wonder Waffle or something. And pretty much, I remember you talking about in the video that the lag was just so bad that the guy ended up double perfecting you. So, yeah, I remember you talking about that, and like so many people made such a big deal about it in such the wrong way. Now, what I want to ask is that, being as it may with the lag and stuff like that, is that more, kind of like more reason for you to not want to do like more like fan appreciation? Like recently you did the fan appreciation sets, with Black Ops, with Halo Reach and stuff. But like have you ever, because there's a lot of challenges on YouTube, especially with the YouTube Street Fighter community and stuff, like as far as like challenges in Street Fighter or in like Black Ops or like in Halo Reach and stuff, has the whole like reason of lag or input lag or just online play lag in general kind of prevented you from doing things like that more often than usual?
Well, I mean, you mentioned Fan Appreciation Week. I played several games that week, and it's funny, the day that I probably had the least fun was the day that I played Super Street Fighter 4, simply because I know I'm better than how I played. And there was, in particular, one room that I was in on PlayStation 3 where every person that I played, it was so significantly laggy that, like, I couldn't even play the game like I know it's supposed to be played. However, the other games, for example, Halo Reach, even though, yeah, I'm sure there was lag, it was a blast because I didn't really care. I'm not so dedicated to that I have to win the match. I think it was more just play around and have fun and try to do some funny stuff and get some epic kills and stuff like that. But you're absolutely right. There are people who challenge me. There's people who have never even talked to me, and then they make videos about how they challenged me and I turned them down. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? I don't even know who this guy is. So obviously he's just making it up to try to, to give himself some fame or whatever. But there's people who challenge me all the time, and I'm like, listen, there was one or two people who I did it with.
King Kindred.
Free one up, and then I played
King Kindred.
And free one up when we played, the connection sucked, and I happened to win. And the King Kindred, when I played, the connection sucked, and I happened to lose. And after I played the King Kindred, and I saw everyone's reactions, oh my God, he's amazingly good because he beat DSP. And not to talk down to the guy because he is really good, but I was like, how could people actually take online play and actually judge it as like a measure of skill? It just doesn't make any sense to me. There's so many things that could affect the game, like input drops, input lag, a lag spike. There's actually people out there who use lag switches. They turn on artificial lag to lag the game up so that they can beat you online. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I don't understand how people could take that as a measuring stick of skill. For me, like I said, I grew up in arcades. I've been here since the first Street Fighter 2 was there. You want to play me, and you really want to measure your skill level, come find me offline and play me in an offline environment where there's no lag and there's no lag abuse. And if you beat me, then fine. You could say you're better than me. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying by any means that I'm really good at Street Fighter 4 because I'm really not. I haven't put any real significant time into it to be able to go to a tournament and beat anyone. But what I'm saying is, these people who play me in a random match or whatever, and then they beat me, and then they go brag, I'm like, oh my God, I beat DSP, I beat his ass, he's a scrub. I mean, give me a fucking break. Like, it cannot be, at least from my perspective, from being a pro gamer for so long, especially in the fighting game scene, you cannot take an online match as something seriously competitive.
Yeah, so kind of branching off from that, you mentioned already Street Fighter, you mentioned other games like Call of Duty, like Halo Reach and stuff. Of pretty much all the lag that you've experienced, throughout the years and all the games that you played, whether it was on Xbox 360, on Xbox Live, or on PS3, on PSN, in your opinion, which do you feel was probably like the worst lag you've probably ever experienced? Because I know I've seen some videos of yours that the lag was like terrible in like HD Remix, and it still is to this day. But, I've seen you've had bad ones in like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, I believe also Halo Reach or Halo ODST, if I remember correctly. One of those two. But which one, in your opinion, or which two did you feel were like the worst ones you've ever experienced?
The absolute worst lag I've ever experienced to the point where it completely ruins the game and makes it unplayable, I would have to say, is Street Fighter 3 Third Strike on the Xbox. I remember trying to play that fucking thing, and it was atrociously bad, because that game is so heavily reliant on parries to reverse what people are doing. You cannot parry on reaction online. It's just so laggy, there's no way you can do it. The entire game actually became a guessing game rather than a game of skill. Like, you're playing the odds. Gee, is he going to do a shoulder rush, or is he going to jump at me? Because I can't parry both, so I'm going to try to parry one of them, and hopefully that's the one he does. And it really just became a game of rock, paper, scissors. There were people who would pick Urian and, like, hope that you would jump, and then they would just randomly throw air fireballs because they knew that if you jumped, there was no way you were going to parry the fireball, and they were going to basically juggle you till the end of the round, and they were going to win. So really ridiculous lag in that game. It ruined the gameplay, and it was nothing like Third Strike. And that's why people ask me, gee, Phil, what do you think about the rumors that they're redoing Third Strike and it's going to be HD on Xbox Live? You know what I say? Who cares? They already did it, and it sucked then. It's probably going to suck now, too, unless they're totally, writing new netcode for the game. It's not going to be Third Strike. You cannot parry in a laggy environment, and it's not the real game.
So that with that being said, real quickly before YouTube kind of cuts us off, would you, if you ever heard of a thing called Mugen or GGPO, I'm pronouncing it right, where would you ever consider actually doing playthroughs like for Super Turbo or Third Strike for that matter over GGPO? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people would like to know if you have ever considered doing something like that.
Well, for the record, I have played on GGPO. I have played on a couple others, including the one that actually Domdai actually coded himself. And the bottom line is this: don't believe the hype. It is good, but it's not lag-free. And I don't know if we'll get into this, but that's actually one of the things that I did speak out about at one point to the Shoryuken community and explain to them, listen, it's not lag-free. There are input drops. There are problems. I'd have to say, out of all the online play I have played in fighting games, that GGPO probably is the closest to the best, meaning it's the best connections you're going to get. You'll probably get on GGPO. However, I tested it myself, and there were issues, and it ended up that I was actually banned for quite a while from Shoryuken.com for saying that, but the bottom line is, that's the truth. So, would I do a playthrough on it? Probably not, simply because, again, like I said, online play, I really have no confidence in it right now, and I wouldn't even want to try to do something like that and then say, oh, well, this was a quality match of this and this, when I know it's going to be a factor, especially people who have learned games like Super Turbo exclusively from GGPO. When they go to play it in an offline environment, they kind of get shell-shocked because half the stuff that they do doesn't work, or, people are able to pull off reversals and things that they couldn't do on GGPO, and they're kind of like, wow, it is a different animal. So to answer that question, I probably wouldn't consider doing it, but who knows? In the future, if it does get improved, I may reconsider, but at least for now, I probably wouldn't even bother.
All right, real quickly before we go to the next video, could anybody ever expect a DSP tries in Mugen?
I've tried Mugen before. Actually, what I like Mugen more for simulating hilarious matches, like Omega Tom Hanks versus a whale. I think that's really where Mugen, you could use it actually as a form of entertainment. In fact, at one Evo, and this is when Mugen was relatively new, people had Mugen running on a PC, a laptop, and people were taking money bets. They were like, all right, Orochi Iori against, Evil Ryu, who's going to win in this computer match? And people would throw money down, and then they'd watch the match and have a blast watching the computer have these two guys fight. I mean, Mugen is a fun experiment, but it's not anything someone's really trying to perfect a gaming engine on, especially when it comes to balance. I would say it's not out of the question that maybe I look at it in the future, but it's not anything I'm going to take seriously.
All right, there you have it, guys. Be sure to check out the next part, the final part of the DSP interview here on The Bit. We'll talk to you in a second.